Unaliving oneself has now become a trending topic. Sad to say, because it's happening more and more, and I don't know how much attention, because somehow it seems to have, when it happens, it becomes a 9-day wonder, and after that, how much is being done? There are more and more reports of people taking this route, because I'm trying to be careful in what I'm saying, because I do not want to be censored, But the reality is that this is a topic that needs to be addressed. It needs to be at this forefront. We need to find solutions. And welcome back to the channel. My name is Claudette, and I'm your Jamaican Gypsy Granny. I've been away for a while because I was going through my own depression. I'm in a situation where I'm finding it hard to cope with. I've been questioning myself, and then I went down this same path where I was thinking, what's the point? What's the point of living? What's the point of existing? Why? Why do I need to get up every day? What am I accomplishing? And, I got to that point, and I was I really took myself out of it, and I retreated. And it was there that I found myself thinking and examining myself. Now, I'm not going to go into my whole life story right now, because the focus is on this topic. So I will speak of it as it relates to me and what is happening in the world today. Now, I had, during my thought processes, outlaid a whole direction I wanted to go to, because one of the reasons that I wasn't posting, I couldn't find anything that I was really feeling passionate about that I wanted to share. And I find that when I'm passionate about something, like the one video that really put me, on the monetization train, where I shared my experience about being turned back from Mexico and Cancun, and having to come back to Jamaica with nothing, that really garnered me some success. And so I was trying to find something, because I don't want to be just on YouTube putting out content. I wanted to put out something that would help someone, save someone, maybe even me. And so I developed this whole slew of topics I wanted to talk about by asking myself hard questions. And then it occurred to me that maybe there are other people out there who need to ask themselves these questions, so I would do a series. But then again, I started dragging my foot because of my fears of facing the camera, of being natural in front of the camera, my self-doubt and all of that story. And some time ago, I had heard someone mention to me about this young lady who had spoken online about unaliving herself, and then she went ahead and did it. But it never really connected until just 2 days ago. I was going, scrolling on TikTok and stuff, and I came across her act of unaliving herself being shared across social media. And I think that hit me in a space where, when I saw it and then I started searching through her posts, I recognized myself in such a deep way, because she was 26 when she did it, and I remember where I was at the age of 26. I've had these thoughts of not being worthy of living, not being worthy of being on this planet, ever since I was in my single digits, even before I hit double digits. And so it was something that I lived with for a long time. I'm now 63 years old. And these thoughts still come to me. These thoughts still occur. And there were times when I really, really wanted to do it, but there were 3 things that kept me from not doing it, right? Well, when I was younger, I was in the church, so it wasn't so much, even though it was a fleeting thought, it wasn't as present as something I would act upon. I instead became rebellious and all of that, which is another story you'll see later on in the series. But as I grew older and more things started happening to me, I became actively seeking ways to do this. But the one thing that kept me from actually going through with it is that I was raised in a religious background. And so, you know, I was still so deeply entrenched there that my thought was, this is the one sin that cannot be forgiven. So I'm going to go to hell, surely. And I certainly did not want to end up in hell. So I didn't do that. And then my children came along. And even though I was not, you know, I don't want to give away too much of my story here, but even though I was going through one of the darkest periods in my life, which caused me not to be present as a mother, the mother that I dreamed of being, I knew that I could not do that to them. I knew that I did not want to leave them with that legacy. I already was creating a legacy of shame and disgrace for them. I didn't want to add anything else, so I chose not to do it. And the third thing that kept me, because in my darkest moments, I mean, having grown up in the church, having remained a virgin until I was 19 years old, having never cursed a bad word until I was in my 20s, having never had a drink or a cigarette or anything of that sort until that time, when I started my decline, when I ended up as an addict, and, you know, engaging in other activities, I would look at myself and look at where I was coming from and say, Lord, how did I end up here? How did you allow this to happen to me? Why did this happen to me? And so there was one thought, and I said, you know what? Whatever I'm going through, it must be for a purpose. Because one of the things I had latched onto, because I studied psychology, and there was a period in my life where I would read a lot of philosophy books. One of the things I had latched onto is that everything happens for a reason. You know, that old saying, every cloud have a silver lining. Anyway, I had that as a part of my being. Every cloud has a silver lining. So no matter how dark my circumstances was, no matter how low I was, I would always try to find the silver lining. And so I said to myself, Lord, I cannot be going through this for nothing. And so if whatever I'm going through and whatever lesson I learn while going through this and whatever I can do to help somebody else, then that will become my purpose in life. And if I can do that, then it would have all been worth it. And so here I am, trying to fulfill this destiny that has been placed on my life by myself or whoever else put it there, to try to use my life and my story to make a difference. Because I know that being able to share, you know, going to I'm not trained in any way. I never even went for counseling, and I mean, I probably should have, but I never went, because the first time I went to see a counselor, one of the exercises he gave me was I needed to write 15, I think the number was, things that I loved about myself, and 15 things that I hated about myself. I wrote the 15 things I hated about myself with ease. But when it came time to write the 15 things that I loved about myself, the pen was stuck on the paper and I couldn't move any further. I couldn't write one thing I loved about myself. And so, excuse me. And so I never went back. And, you know, I came through it. I'm 63. I'm alive. I've had several death experiences. I mean, my appendix burst in me, and I was minutes away from dying. I was in a car accident where I was essentially dead. I was unconscious for days, suffered amnesia, all of that, broke my skull, all of that story. I've had a bottle thrown, you know, right here, where I got 44 stitches. That surgeon was so good. I mean, there's so many things that I've been through, but I'm still here. And now it's time for me to share this, because at 63, I don't know how much time I have left. And I'm going to be sharing my story about this, because when you look at the amount of people that are unaliving themselves, it is now a crisis. And going to a counselor will help, but sometimes being able to talk to someone else who's walked that walk, being able to understand that there are others outside of you who are going through this experience, being able to share my story that may open the door to someone being willing to open their mouth and say, look, this is what I'm going through. This is my hope. And you know, I had a whole long list of the way I wanted this video to go, but this is how I would prefer to create my videos, where I speak what's on my heart, and in doing so, I hope that I can connect with other people who are feeling this. And I still want to make some pointers, right? One of the things we need to stop doing is to be judgmental of people who commit these acts, who speak about doing these acts, who share experiences that may cause them to want to do these acts. You know, I was recently told, you know, by someone that I should get over it already. But unless you walked in my shoes, or it's someone else who's going through these shoes, you may never understand. And sometimes, because we have been in those shoes and we are unwilling to face what happened to us, we tend to lash out. Whatever the reasons, I beg of you to be more compassionate, you know, and to be more aware, to listen more, and to give a listening ear. Now, before I go, I would love to share some of the signs you may look out for of mental health, depression. I'll have to bleep that out. Unaliving thoughts. One of the major things that we do is that we isolate ourselves. And when you notice someone who is pulling away and withdrawing from life, that could be a sign. Another thing is that their sleeping habits, our sleeping habits may change. We may not sleep, we may sleep more, you know, sleeping habits may change. We express, me can't bother, when, you know, me can't bother with life, you know, these things. I mean, sometimes you say that, but someone who is not normally speaking like that and starts to speak like that may need some attention. Also, hold on, let me check my list, because, hey, I don't want to give out any false information, but I do have a list here. Engaging in risky behaviors. People start engaging in risky behaviors more often when they've reached this stage in life. They also may start giving away possessions. So if somebody just suddenly start giving them something, watch out, maybe they are thinking about that. And anything else? Expressions of hopelessness, that is something else. Also, one of the signs you may look out for is someone who is going through this, and after a period of despair and anger and all of that, and they suddenly become so calm. Nothing now bother them no more. This may be a sign, because sometimes this is when the decision has been made to go ahead and do it. There's much more to this story, and I just wanted to do the video. And moving forward, I do have, you know, things. I do have a blog on my website that goes into more detail about this, and I will leave the link in the description. And if you are feeling this way, you know someone who is feeling this way, you'd like to help someone, you know, anything. If you want to follow my journey, please leave a like, subscribe, comment down below, and read the description box. There are some instructions there. I do have a Patreon to this video where we can go into more details and talk about stuff that you cannot talk about here on YouTube. So I'll leave that link in the description as well. And I hope this message touches somebody somewhere and they may reach out for help. Thanks for listening. My name is Claudette, and I am and will always remain your Jamaican Gypsy Granny. Ciao.